All right, 1 second here. All right, welcome everyone. This is class on Pirke Avos. Again, want to welcome everyone. This class on Pirke Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers, as is known. We are in chapter 2, Mishna 14, part 8. And most likely it'll be a part 9, part 10, part 11 as we work our way through here. Again, we're holding by Pirke Avos, Ethics of Our Fathers. We are in chapter 2, Mishna 14, part 8. And discussing a wicked friend, right? I spoke last week about this idea. There are two types of people, right? Two types of friends that a person can have. Person that we know they're bad, right? It's pretty obvious, right? It's pretty obvious, how they act, what they say. They are definitely bad, right? So definitely easier in many ways stay away from them. Same time, there are people that, do not portray themselves as being bad, just the opposite. And it's harder to see, where they're really holding. And in either case, if we're not careful, they're definitely going to have a negative influence on us. So we mentioned as Mori Rebbe, Arav Agoner, Moshe Moshlita should be well. He brings down his commentary on Pirke Avos. So he mentions like this. Mentions the name of Arna Belz, the first Belzer Rebbe. I shouldn't say the first Belzer Rebbe. Whatever. He was the Rebbe of Belz. Many years ago. And there are friends that are bad, but they put up a good front. So the problem is it's hard to see. They're bad, so people, right, we're not so careful. They're not going to be so careful not to associate with them because, at the forefront, they don't look so bad. Right? Essentially, they don't look so bad. But really, they have a bad influence. So it comes on Rav Arna Belz. Says Rav Arna Belz that God should save us from them and their influence. So it's very easy to understand, someone who's bad in general, stay away from them, right? That's pretty obvious, right? I think that's pretty obvious. Same time, someone who's doesn't look bad, but essentially they're hiding it, or they're not saying it outright. So that being the case, as Rav Arna Belz, you got to be careful. You got to be extremely careful that they do not affect us on a negative, in a negative way. Now we could say, I know who to stay away from, right? I know, let's say we know people that are going to try to influence us in a negative way. We know to stay away from them. I think that's pretty obvious. But there are other people who conceal who they are, right? One good example, Messianics. Messianics are Christians. They're not Jews by any, they might be Jews themselves, but, if their mother's Jewish, but essentially they're Christian. So the problem is they dress it up trying to attract Jews and saying we're really Jewish, but obviously that's wrong. So there are people out there that mislead, or they'll claim, let's say, to be Orthodox, and they're not. Right? Essentially, they're not, no matter what they say. Right? Like some people who are frauds will say, "Oh, people always say I'm a fraud." Why would that be? Why would that be? Because you are. Because you say things that are heretical. Person who says things heretical, we mentioned on Thursday, right, in my Q&A, that right, if a person, comes out against the rabbis, derides, rabbis got, real credentials, knows how to learn, or any person, any Jew for that matter, who knows how to learn, they're called a heretic. Who's the port, they are, what's the language here? Exact language here. Just quote the Aruch HaShulchan again. Siman Lamed Dalet, Poaching Mishpat, laws of damages. 34. Where does he bring it down here? Talking about people who are apostle edus, someone who can't testify. He says, if you make fun of the rabbis, you have the status of a heretic. You're apostle kol edus, you're not allowed to give any testimony. You can't count him in a minion until he does tshuva. So the three things. He's called a heretic if he makes fun of the rabbis. He is never allowed to be a witness in a Jewish court, and you can't even starve him to a minion. He's not included in the 10 that you need, 10 Jews you need in a minion, unless he repents. But he has to repent fully. He has to repent fully. Now, there are people out there that mislead people, that definitely mislead people, but they're more dangerous, because they'll dress it up, they'll say it's permissible, they'll say all kinds of things, right? So sometimes a person will not know that they're really not good, that they shouldn't be listened to, that they never should be listened to. So, that you got to be careful. And anyone ever has any questions, you ask, is this person good? Is he not good? Because again, some people swear by some people, others, they just don't know. So a person has to be careful. You don't want to be led, you don't want to be led astray, right? There's no question, but there are people talk a good game. And those people who talk very smoothly, you got to be careful. 100%. You have to be careful, right? But so those type of people who it's hard to differentiate, it's hard to know, what they really hold and what they're doing per se. So they're more dangerous. They're much more dangerous. We said before, someone who's obvious, they come out against Torah mitzvahs, they tell you not to keep certain things. That's obvious. But other people say, come on, you don't have to be that religious. I'm just as religious, and I keep Torah, and I keep other things, and I keep mitzvahs, blah, blah, blah. Very good. Yeah, but essentially they're lying. Right? Because really, they want to drag you down. They want to make you more like them. They want you to have a watered down version of Judaism, which obviously is bad. So sometimes they're not doing things directly. And therefore, it's harder. It's harder to know, exactly what they're doing. Because they may, could have convincing arguments. But you don't always know. You don't always know. But if you know what to look for, and if something sounds strange, could be it is. It could be, that person shouldn't be listened to. Unfortunately, there's a lot of fraud, right? As we mentioned many times. So that's one thing, right? That is one thing that, that my Rebbe brings down in the name of Rav Aaron of Belz. Another thing over here is that he mentions now who's also included in a bad friend, right? Is a bad friend necessarily somebody that is it's a person? Maybe it's not a person, right? Maybe it's some other bad influence but not necessarily a person. Right? So wherever here says like this, he said there are other things that can be considered a bad friend. Right? I.e., they are a vessel of destruction. Right? What can be a vessel of destruction? The internet, newspapers, things that are highly heretical, problematic, things that a person shouldn't be looking at, wasting time, different things. They look innocent, and some people will say, well, I listen to a lot of Torah, on the internet. What's so bad? Right? I've heard that many times. Right? The issue is, you're right. There might be good things. There might be a lot of good Torah things, out there. True. Right? That 100% is true. Same time, I would say, how many negative things are there that a person wastes their time on? Just wasting time in general, but getting bad information, heretical stuff. So people say, what do you mean? I get good stuff. I try and stay away from all that. Okay. Yeah, but person listens to the news, let's say, right? 99.9% of the news is what? Lashon Hara. Right? It's all Lashon Hara. If they're just giving over the news, okay. Right? That's one thing. They're just giving over the news. They're not adding their twist. They're not, giving their spin, so to speak. If they're just giving over the news, one thing. Right? One thing. Otherwise, got a problem. Right? Definitely have a problem. So they look innocent, but they cause a lot of damage. Tremendous amount of damage. I would say that, the internet in general, probably 90 to 95% or close to 100% is all bad. Nothing good. I get information, you can do other things, this, that, you're right. Right? There might be some good things. But the bad definitely outweighs the good. Then if a person, has a filter, there's accountability, this and that, they're only getting, they're only downloading or watching things that are Torah related or Torah itself. So fine. If I were to take a survey, I guarantee, nothing to talk about. I'd make a bet, all the money I don't have, I'd put it on the table and say not one person just doing that. Forget about, you get airline tickets online, you do other things online, that are very convenient. Okay, I get it. I definitely get it. But at the same time, you look at one thing, you look at other things, and again, maybe it's not permitted. You look up some historic things, some other things. Yeah, it could be just a waste of time, but you go from one thing to another. Next thing you know, it's 20 minutes later, half an hour later. Look at all the time you waste. But you're going to say, well, I don't have an obligation to learn. Right? Who says I have an obligation to learn? And even if you don't, the question is the mind atrophies. It's a waste of time, essentially. But who says that you're not going to come across things, you're not going to come across things that are going to be outright forbidden? So you're going to say, so what do you do? The big temptation. Big temptation. Yeah, looking at things you shouldn't do, yeah, that's one thing. So you say, okay, I don't do that. I don't get caught, whatever, very good. Right? But what's the problem? What are other things to look at? You want to follow the news, you want to look up things. It's very convenient. Not going to say no. But can a person say 100% that, they're squeaky clean. I don't think anyone can say 100% they're squeaky clean. If a person would say, I have one thing on my phone, because pretty much, everybody, most people, have smartphones, okay. So they say, I only have one thing I look at, right? And that's whatever sites they are for Torah. Yeah, Torah, anytime, Chabad.org, H.com, whatever. Those are the only things they look at, right? I would bow down to such a person. I would say, if that be the case, then you're one of the righteous of generation. That is nothing to talk about. But I don't believe that's the case. If you tell me it's only being used for that, okay. That's what it should be used for, if you're going to use it. But you're going to say other things are more, convenient. Okay, want to order airline tickets, want to do this, do that. You got to be extremely careful. Extremely careful, right? So here my Rebbe says, things look innocent, and there's plenty of things. Even quote unquote the best of things can have heretical things attached to it. Yeah, people giving over information, but yeah, according to them. That's why history is his story, giving over their own side. Yeah, but it's their own bias. Right? And if it's their own bias, who says there not going to be heretical things there? Plenty. What's the news full of? Lashon Hara. Nothing to talk about. More than 30 prohibitions in one shot, but you're hearing it. He said, I just want to know what's going on in the world. Right? A friend of mine once said, if there's a war, I'll find out about it. How do you listen to the news? Good question. Good question. I've heard people say not one, even Torah quote unquote news sites. People claim it's all Lashon Hara. No such thing as a Torah news site. If they have a board, they're out, a board of rabbis who are gonna, say, okay, you can put this in, you can't put that in, this, that, and they're going according, to what the Torah says, okay, but some will claim that even in these things are problematic. Yeah, so what happens? They may look innocent, but they cause a lot of damage. Let's say, for argument's sake, I'm in a little bit of a generous mood. Let's say you have a Torah website that's good. All they do is give over the news, to nothing more. They don't add anything. They just tell what happened. They tell the story, what happened. That's it. Yeah, so let's say it's not Lashon Hara. It's not a problem. So you gotta say there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, could have been learning. I'm not learning now. I don't have an obligation to learn. I'm an non-Jew. I'm a woman, whatever. So what's the big deal? You're gonna say, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Yeah. How many times you check? The kosher news site, whatever it may be. Someone say, I only check it once a day. Okay. But there are people out there, news junkies. Every half an hour, less, more, whatever it is, they're not checking once a day. They want to know what's going on. Up to the second, what's going on. Tell me they're too busy, this, that, they're working. Okay, people find time. It's amazing. People find time. People very up to date what's going on in the world. Of course, you have to be. How can you stick your head in the sand? What, you're not going to be up to date? You're not going to know what's going on? It's addictive. Sports is addictive. Someone's addicted to sports. Very hard to shut that off. Very, very hard. And it's somewhat innocent. It's probably better than other things. Okay. You know what? If it's an addiction, it's an addiction. You can't, it's hard to get out of your system. Some more, some less. If anyone grew up anywhere, especially in the States, take your whole life to get that stuff out of your system. Right? So that's what he's saying over here. You have newspapers, internet, other things look somewhat innocent. Not always, but let's say there are things there that are innocent, but they cause a lot of damage. And they have the power to destroy the soul and our ability to tap into spiritual things. Now that's a whole nother thing. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah. Even if you tell me these things are permissible. Even if you tell me there's not a problem here. And they're permissible. Okay. let's say that be true. Let's say that be true. What's the downside? The downside is you're attached to a screen. When you're attached to a screen, it's harder to focus on Torah. Ask anyone who plays video games. Ask anyone who watches movies or other things. It's hard. That's a lot more fun. I had someone ask me once this. They said, why is it so easy to sit down and play video games or watch movies and learn Torah? Yeah. They said, can you explain that? So I said, yeah, that's actually, not such a hard question. They said, okay, so what's the answer? So I said, the answer is these things, if your soul is insatiable and the soul really wants Torah, so if you're not learning Torah, you got to fill it with something else. For a Jew, it's worse. Because if a Jew's not attached to his soul, and he's not going in the way God wants, what's going to happen? You need something else to fill it. So people do all kinds of things to fill it. Why is Shabbos the worst day of the week for them, for secular Jews? Why is it they find things to do, they kill time? Because what does their soul want? They want Shabbos. They want Cholent. They want, Kiddush. They want Challah. They want the good things about Shabbos. But soul doesn't have that. Why not? Because the person doesn't keep Shabbos. So you got to fill the soul with something else. So what are you going to fill it out with? What are you going to fill it with? You find things to do. People say, relax more on Shabbos, whatever, but you're finding things to do to kill time. People go to malls, people do other things. They'll do things to kill time. Why? Because Shabbos, you need something to do. Your soul is like jumping out of its skin, no pun intended. Your soul's jumping out of its skin. Let me hear Shabbos songs. Let me eat Shabbos food. Let me learn about the Parsha. No, you're not doing any of that. So what are you filling your soul with? Garbage. And more garbage. But see, the soul is insatiable. So if you don't fill it with Torah, and you need to fill it with a lot of Torah, nonetheless, if you don't fill it with Torah, what's going on? The soul is starving. But you're not going to fill it with Torah, so what do? You're going to find things to do. Go here, go there, do other things. That's why it's the worst day for a secular Jew. You're finding things to do. Yeah, so that's a problem. That's a serious problem. Forget about what their status is, if they're considered a Jew or not, whatever. It's a problem because the more we're attached to secular things, the more we're attached to images and different things, it's harder to learn. It's harder to learn. You lose focus. Kids play with Game Boys, they watch things, this, that. It's harder to focus. No matter what age. If you start at a younger age, it becomes harder. The more a person gets addicted to certain things, it becomes harder because you need that fix. You need to know. So you get older, it's just a question what you fill it with. Yeah, what do I mean? Okay, so when you're older, hopefully a person's not busy playing video games. I mean, people can play at all ages, okay, but let's say person grows up, is doing other things, but you're filling that with something else. You're totally filling it with something else. Not make the person better by any stretch. Yeah, but you need something to fill the time. And today we have way too much free time. It used to be, mentioned before. A full day. Yeah, today he's taking the washing machine. Okay, many things. Because of the Industrial Revolution and everything's going on today, that makes life so much easier. It doesn't make it smarter. Now you got this chat GPT or whatever. You don't have to do anything. Just give it some information. It'll do all the work for you. Right? Maybe it'll write a Dvar Torah for you. Right? Write words of Torah for you to inspire you. You can write a poem. You can do all kinds of things. Yeah, it takes away the human element. That's true. Right? But, there are a lot of things in technology today that make us really stupid. They make us really stupid. When word processors came out, and you had words, and all that, you can check it for grammar and for spelling. You don't need to know how to spell. You start spelling something wrong, it's already a red thing right there. Doesn't recognize it. Yeah. So now you're going to see what the spelling is. So there are a lot of things made so much easier. But the fact that it made it so much easier, okay. So we have to be able to utilize technology, use it in the right way, very good. But the thing is, it doesn't make you smarter. It used to be back in the day. You had to actually look things up in a dictionary. And if you wanted to say something, but you wanted to say it in a more sophisticated way, what did you have to use? A thesaurus. Yeah, synonyms. Synonyms for the same word, but sound better than the word itself. You want to use a more sophisticated language. You want to make yourself smarter, okay? Or look smarter, okay? Make it sound better. Make it sound more sophisticated. Very good. Yeah, but you got to actually work. Today, very easy. So you say, well, I go online, check this word, thesaurus, whatever, but who knows how to spell today? Who are good spellers today? Rabbi Dr. Google, very good speller. Word, very good speller. Any Word document or any document like that, whatever it may be, it's not going to teach you how to spell. They'll fix it for you. That doesn't make us smarter. Totally doesn't make us smarter. We're not going to go back to what we used to have, okay? So we have to utilize technology, but, it makes it very easy. Makes it very, very easy. Today, learning, same thing. Didn't have Art Scroll today, or Rabbi Scroll as we would call it, right? If you didn't have Art Scroll today, Torah would be, can only be learned by people who knew how to learn. The vast populace would not know how to learn. If you didn't have translation, though, now you got the greatest thing translated. You got Talmud translated. A number of different languages. Yeah. So now it's accessible. Very good. I think it's a tremendous thing. Question is how you use it. Everybody's not going to learn anyway. Not going to have time to really, sit and learn how to learn. Okay, so Art School is good. You have to know what you're using it for. You have to know what you're using it for. But it makes Torah accessible to anybody who knows the language. Very good. Well, at the same time, it's not the same as if you're doing it yourself. I don't have time. I don't know the language so well. This helps me out. Very good. The lower level of learning, but okay. It gives you access. Gives you access. At the same time, it can be a crutch. Tremendously, it can be a crutch. What do I mean? People get lazy. They don't want to work hard, so they use it. I don't know about people who can't learn. They have no choice. But people use it. And the greats. There are other books that have like all these commentators, and they explain, what they mean in a short version and different things. Yeah, it's also good. You're getting spoon fed. You're not thinking for yourself. Someone's already thought about it. Someone's already analyzed it. They did all the work. This is, but I'm pressed for time, and I look up this, and it's okay. Also helps, for sources. Look up different sources. Okay. When it comes to learning, depends what you're using it for. So in general, watching things, looking at things, you're gonna say, but I'm getting inspired. I watch this, and I watch that, all have to do with Torah. Very good. Very good. The problem is, and everybody says the same thing. You don't want me to say this. The person attached to a screen, that's what it's attached to. And we want to be stimulized. That's what we want. We want, we see images. We're interested. We're engaged, so to speak. Why are we engaged? Because we see these images all over the place. I was talking to someone earlier, and I was saying that it used to be to keep someone's interest. to keep someone's interest, you say, how long can a person keep their interest? So say as long as a commercial on TV was. How long was the commercial? What's the person's attention span? That's the word I was looking for. Right? What was their attention span? So years ago, they would say as long as it would take a commercial. How long was the commercial? 6 minutes. Right? It used to be 6 minutes. Today, commercials come. And what are they? You see just a lot of images. You're flashed a lot of images. So today's attention span for people is much less. Much less. Right? You want to put something out there, wherever it is, you got to keep someone's attention right at the very beginning. You have to have something compelling. Right? If you don't have something compelling, people won't listen. If you don't hit them with something that's going to get them to think or whatever, they're not going to stay. Right? They're not going to want to watch it. Why? It doesn't speak to them. Doesn't speak to them. So it's a whole knack today exactly how to do it. With images, music, with captions, it's all kinds of things. All kinds of things. But let's say a person made a video on TikTok. Yeah. You make a video on TikTok, you got to get the person straight away. Otherwise, they'll scroll right through it. If you don't hit them straight away with something that's going to grab them a little bit, a hook, as they call it, they're not going to watch it. They're not going to be interested. Yeah. So you got to hit someone very quick because the attention span is very little. So you got to pack something in at the very beginning in order to attract someone to listen. But the point over here is if a person keeps seeing images and images and images, and that's what they're focused on most of the day. So what happens, or a good part of the day, let's say, what happens? It's very hard to sit and learn. Because now you've seen certain things, you've heard certain things, got images flashing around in your head, sitting down to concentrate. Sitting down to concentrate, it's hard. Makes it 10 times more difficult. Yeah, because you're exposed to all this. Right? You're exposed 100%. So you're going to say, how do I not be exposed to it? It's harder. Right? So when I mentioned I miss those days on smartphones, yeah, sure. 100%. Right? It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different world. Right? That's what it is. It's a whole different world. We're not going back to we're not going back, quote unquote, to the old world. True. But it has an effect. 100% it has an effect. So the point here is if a person has to use it, they have to use technology, you have to know how. And you have to make sure it doesn't overcome your life. In different places around the world, they have a day like you're going to disconnect from technology. Yeah, we have that every week. It's called Shabbos. That we disconnect. And it's a huge thing. You got to actually talk to people. I see it all the time. People have their heads stuck in phones and that's all they do. They're busy texting, looking, texting, this, that. It's unbelievable. Right? And I see it all the time. And it's just, I don't think everyone has smartphones. I think a lot of people do. But at the same time, it's how it's used. It's how it's used. And everyone will say, the more a person's on it, what's one of the things that's a downfall over here is the fact that people don't communicate. They don't communicate to each other. It's easier to text, easier to send an email, whatever it may be. But a person loses important skills. How to speak to others. It's a huge skill being lost. Totally being lost. So here my Rebbe says you have these things. You have these things that hinder our ability to tap into the spiritual. Right? There's another issue. The other issue is our soul pretty much whatever we see, whatever we learn, our soul takes in. Our soul absorbs it. That's the word. Our soul absorbs it. Now, even if you haven't thought about certain things for a long time, they're there. They never disappear. you could, we use a parable from today. You could put it in trash, right? You can get rid of it. You can erase it, but it's there. It's not ever fully erased. It's always somewhere in the deep, dark consciousness of a person, right? That's where it is. Now, can it come out anytime? It could. There could be things you haven't thought of in 20 years, 30 years, whatever, but all of a sudden, someone says something, all of a sudden you think, boom, I haven't thought about that in 20 years. Okay. But guess what? Then it brings back memories. Then a person thought about it, whatever. That's with hearing something, seeing something. It's all part of our psyche, Jew or non-Jew. It's there, right? It's there. It gets absorbed. So how do you get rid of it? How do you get rid of these terrible things? Torah. That's what Torah does. The more Torah you learn, the less these things become important or should be important. Now, what's the problem? Do we believe that? Do we follow that? You're going to say, why not? Why shouldn't we? Because you're going to say, you got an evil inclination. The evil inclination causes all kinds of problems, true? 100%. Causes a lot of issues. Yeah. So I get this all the time. How do I fight this? How do I fight that? How do I fight the other thing? How do I fight them? It's hard. The Gemara says God created the evil inclination. He also created an antidote. What is that? What's the antidote? It's Torah. Yeah. But you also need heavenly help, the Torah says. The Gemara says. Right? The Gemara says, yeah, I need Torah mitzvahs to overcome the evil inclination. Very good. But if God doesn't help me, I can't overcome the evil inclination. That's pretty harsh. It means, further going to say, so then I have no chance. No, you don't have no chance. But if you don't have heavenly help, you fail. You'll definitely fail. You need heavenly help. You need to pray every day that you shouldn't, that we shouldn't be tempted by any of these things. So someone here asks the $2 million question. Smartphone is all my life. It's all our lives. You're right. It makes life so much easier. Buy things online. Send things. I can do all kinds of things, at the tap of a click. Very good. You're right. Made life so much easier. And then what happens when it breaks? What happens when you can't find it? People go nuts. Even if you don't have a smartphone, it's like we live with our phones. Yeah, but you don't have, a person that has a smartphone, I'll say it's a lot worse. Why is it a lot worse? Because you use it for so many things. Don't use it. If you want to tell me use it as a regular phone and do other things here and there, okay. But that's certainly not the case. You're right. Majority of your day is with this stupid thing. You're right. You know what? There are people who don't have smartphones. I don't have a smartphone. Right? Sometimes the pain in the neck, I don't even have texting. So if I need to verify something, right? Let's say, I don't know. Let's say my online banking, they say, okay, you want to get in, we have to send you a code, to your phone. So it's very good. They have two ways of sending. Right? They can either send a text, like a regular text, or they can call your phone. It'd be an automated message. There are places that have that. I mean, not everyone does, but there are places, that do. So it's always a pain if I really need, to get a text or whatever. Whatever, most things work themselves out. Yeah, I wouldn't get a smartphone just for that. I mean, it would come in handy for certain things, but okay. Now, can there are other things you do with just a regular phone? Sure. Yeah. But you're right. It'd be more convenient to have a smartphone, for sure. But you can get around with, with a, the regular phones. What do you do about this? What do you do about that? Do about the other thing? Okay. You can do things online. Right? You do things by a computer online, different things. Okay. You have to be extremely careful. That's the point. You have to be extremely careful. Most people, I would agree. Most people are going to say, this is my whole life. I have this phone. right? It does everything. I can use it for Waze, very good, right? A lot of people use it for that. You can buy things online. There are a lot of things, a lot of practical things that are good. I'm not saying not. That are definitely good. I'm just saying the majority of things on a phone or whatever are bad. 95% are bad. You want to tell me that I'm going to tap into the 5%? I wish you were right. But I don't believe anybody. Anybody who has one, yeah, you get caught up in things. Sometimes you have a good, what do you call it, an ad blocker. Then things come up you don't want. Images don't go away. That's the problem. I mean, one of the main problems is that a person can see something they shouldn't have seen. It has an effect. Now you have to work hard to get rid of it, get rid of that effect or whatever. But, it's something you didn't want. Something you'll say, I didn't sign up for. Okay. But that's one of the pitfalls. So again, if someone were to tell me, my phone's only set to these things that are permissible. Okay. Right. Everything else gets blocked out. Very good. Right. Then I'd say fine. I don't know anybody like that. If that would be the case, I would have, I'd have much less of an issue. TorahAnytime.com, Chabad.org, H.com, or Sameach's website. Very good. You only have those. Okay. That's how you're doing most of your learning. Okay. I have an issue. I would have, no issue here because all those things are fine. But it doesn't stay that way. If you tell me everything else is blocked out, I can't do anything else. It's only Torah things. There's still maybe a little bit of an issue. Images come up or whatever in general, or just like being attached to the stupid thing. Fine. But then I'd have much less of an argument if that wouldn't be the case. Much less of an argument. What am I going to say? I'm only watching Torah things. That's the only thing I see. I don't look up anything else. I can't look up on, let's say better. You can't look up anything else. These are the things you can look at. That's it. Very good. Right? I wouldn't have an argument here. I wouldn't have anything to say. Fine. That's not the case. 100% is not the case. Yeah. Person on social media, it's over. Plenty of things wrong with social media. But, at the same time, that parents have an obligation to guide and guard their children, right? 100%. To guard them with an extra guarding so they don't stumble and fall. And they should definitely pray, no question, that their kids will not fall prey to bad things and bad influences. Not just on a phone or on a computer, but in general. A lot of bad influences out there. So, we have to guard our kids, no question. Same time, at the same time, kids can fall prey to bad things, even if you have the best of intentions. So many things we're out in control. That's why it says over here, it says in the Mishna, wicked friends, right? A wicked neighbor, which we'll speak about. These things can have unbelievably bad repercussions. So for our kids, you got to pray every day. Every day. And when a kid goes to yeshiva, you pray he's got a good learning partner. That's what you pray for. Because bad influence could kill them. Could kill them spiritually. So you're going to say, but we're surrounded by you're right. We're surrounded by all kinds of terrible things. So we have to be on guard. Because once you let it in a little bit, it's very hard to get out. Very hard to get out. Anyone has a smartphone, everyone would agree. I don't think anyone would disagree. They're too attached to it. I don't think there's any question. I don't think there's any question. And a parent dealing with their kids, even if they have one, you shut the thing off. You let your kids talk. And you can say, oh, let me look at one more thing. Oh, I just got to know. They have to see that they're most important. And that whoever calls or whoever's going to send you a text or whatever, you shut it off. When you're done talking to them, whatever, they have to see that's the most important thing. It's them. And it's not your phone, but people, it's an addiction. It's like any addiction. But it's very enticing. Because you can do it anywhere. All you need is Wi-Fi. Right? Your phone's hooked up. You're in. You're in a subway station, you're on a bus, you're anywhere, you're hooked in. That's all you need. Never miss anything. Yeah, there's, as my Rebbe here is saying, that's a problem. It's a problem because of all the garbage that comes with it. No matter your whole life, you're right. It makes life so much easier. I don't disagree with that. But you have to know how to use it. Yeah, and most people, they're totally addicted to it. So, I think it's funny in many ways. I see people all the time, someone sends them a message, send them something on WhatsApp, right? So they'll take their smartphone, this is a kosher phone, but they'll take a smartphone, they'll be like this. They'll take it straight to their ear. I see it all the time. They're walking around like this. Why are they walking around like this? Because that's where sound comes out. I always laugh to myself. Even if the volume's turned up all the way, they can't really hear. It's not really, the earpiece, whatever, is not so good, right? So they take their phone, they're walking like this. I think it's very funny. I think it's very funny because you can't hear. So you see people walking around, obviously there's noise in the background and the noise from the phone isn't so good, so they're walking around like this. Can't make this stuff up, come on. But the point here, I see a bunch of questions here. I'll deal with them in a second. Right? The point is, these things take away from the spiritual. They make you subservient to it. Just like food today, they add certain chemicals or whatever. They can't eat one. It's like you have to eat another one. You have to eat a second one. You have to eat a third one. Why? Because, it's what they put in that gets into our system. I used to have a commercial for plastic pickles. Right? I still think plastic pickles still exist in the States. They say you can't eat one. You can never just eat one. Right? It's like anything. They put things in there to whet your appetite to want more. Right? Internet's so different. So, wow, I could look up this, I could look up that. I never knew about this. Again, next thing a person knows, an hour goes by, they just got caught up in so many different things. Could be interesting things, but things that really not forbidden. Not forbidden, right? Because someone would tell me, come on, they're educational things. They're educational things, I'm looking at. Okay. Let's say it's true. Let's say it's true. Now, for every educational thing that you look at, how many things do you look at that are not educational? That are forbidden to look at? Yeah? Or it's just a waste of time, whatever. Or you get caught up from one thing to another. I guarantee the odds of that are much greater. Like someone used to say, I used to hear people say, wow, I have cable TV. It's not so bad. I can watch the History Channel. A lot of interesting things, documentaries. I said, great. How many times do you do that? How often during the week do you do that? Yeah? Not too often. Not too often. But I could. You're right. You could. And a lot of, potentially good things a person could listen to and watch. True. That's very true. So now explain to me how many things you watch that aren't good. That take you away from Torah mitzvahs, that are not good for your soul. Yeah, I would think that's much greater. Much, much greater unless you're extremely disciplined. If you're, if you tell me you have accountability, or you have a white list of things you can only see, right, through your company, whatever. Whoever you're hooked up with, say, okay, these are the only things I want to be able to see, right? If you have a filter, whatever. These are the only things I want to be able to see. Everything else I should be, block out. And then someone else has the code. You can't look at anything else. Okay. Yeah. Now you can only see certain things that are good, very good. Not the way people are going to do that. They want to look at other things. They're going to say it's not so bad. That's what my Rebbe here is saying. They're going to say it's really not so bad. What's so bad? Right? People are going to hammer me for sure. I looked up something historically. What's so bad? I looked up something to get more history about the Vilna Gaon. What's so bad? Technically nothing. If it's for Torah to understand things, okay. I'm just saying it doesn't end there. If it ends there, very good. But, ads come up, other things. And then we look at things that we shouldn't. That, let's say at the very least, it's just a waste of time. Because you go from one thing to the next, you see different images, things catch your eye. That makes it hard to learn Torah. Because of the images a person sees and the frequency with images. So for kids, this is a disaster. It's an absolute disaster. Yeah, why? Because then they always need that stimulus. They always need to be stimulated in that way. Right? Otherwise, it's very hard for them. Because they're used to it. It's like it's part of the blood itself. So how do you fight that? Once a person already get used to certain things, very hard. I don't think there's any question. Say, wow, nip it in the bud. You should. Right? Some people do. They don't let their kids watch anything. They don't give them any, any video things to play with. Like a Game Boy or something like that. They don't want to start with it. They don't want to start with it. Because they know what could happen. They could get it later. Someone else. Okay. You want to control in your house. You want to control what they see. It's very hard. Very, very hard. Right? What's the level of balance? What do you let what you know? So I'll tell you a scary story. I mean, not really a scary story, but someone told me the kids that time, I don't know, were 9 and 11 or 8 and 10. I forget exactly the age. And they basically let them watch or whatever unfiltered. That's irresponsible. For parents, you're going to have a TV, whatever you're going to have, that 100% is irresponsible. You just let them watch whatever they want. They figure it out along the way, different things when they're young. They're going to be exposed to so much violence and garbage. Yeah, how can that be unfiltered? How can that be unfiltered? Yeah. I'm not going to say how common it is, what the stats are, but parents have no idea what the kids are watching. Many times. And the kids can be very good at hiding it also. Even if they have let's say they have their own phone and different things. Yeah. How about they be embarrassed if they got caught watching whatever? But that's a problem. Because our kids are definitely much more sophisticated than we are when it comes to this stuff. That's definitely true. But it's not just a danger for us. For sure it's a danger. But it's more of a danger for them. I've heard people say, they were exposed to certain things when they were younger and they were curious and whatever. It didn't make them better people. Just the opposite, caused other problems. Curiosity killed the cat. So you try and nip in the bud. Being more insular it's not a bad thing. I mean, it's hard to do, but I definitely don't think it's a bad thing. Kids are going to get exposed at one point or another. Yeah, I don't have to be exposed so young. But today it's a whole different world. Because now you got kids at a very young age being exposed to, this transgender whole thing or whatever. Trying to convince 6, 7-year-olds that they should be a boy or a girl if they're not born that way. Yeah, it's okay. They're being exposed to all this garbage. Like someone was telling me today. You can't say anything against them. You get fired from your job. It's insane. Right? This woman was telling me, is like, what happened to women's rights here? Women's rights are not the top anymore. They come first. It's transgender rights come first for women's rights. That's insane. That's insanity. Yeah, but so kids are exposed as well. It's good for them to be exposed. I always say if something's bad, I don't have to bang my head against the wall till it bleeds to know it's bad. They don't think this is bad. They think exposing little kids to this is a good thing. It's being progressive. It's being so open-minded. you're killing them. You're killing a whole generation of kids that thought that they're gonna question what their gender is. So according to Jewish law, I spoke about this. The gender doesn't change no matter what you do. If you're a boy, you cut something off, you add things, you're still a boy. If you're a girl, you add things, cut things off, you're still a girl. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. You just mess them up in the process. Very, very powerful thing today. People to second guess. I mean, in my day, when I was growing up, come on. Like the worst thing when I was growing up years ago, someone had an earring, a kid had an earring or like a rat tail, like a ponytail or something. That was already like a big thing. That was already a big thing. So, someone had that. Okay, maybe people doing marijuana, some other drugs, maybe, whatever, but, anyone had a tattoo? Like, if I was growing up, those were sailors or white trash. That's what tattoos. Today little kids get tattoos. Anyway, that should be the worst thing. Tattoos today, nothing compared to what's going on. I mean, I didn't grow up in Victorian England. I mean, it's got 10 times worse. World got more 10 times worse. Whatever. But, these influences, it's hard. It's all around. It's very hard to be insular, 100% insular. Impossible. Just about impossible because people are going to be exposed. And being exposed is not a good thing, right? So that's why parents have a much greater obligation to guard their kids. Much greater obligation. And then people, parents will let their kids, let's say, have a Game Boy. Let them play video games. Okay, it's got to be monitored. Can't be on it all day long. It's just, not only that, it's harder for them to fall asleep because, they have all the stimulation. But if you have all that stimulation and you've seen all these images and different things, I don't care if they're permissible or not. That's not the point. But the more images that a person sees all the time, it's harder for them to learn. It's harder for them to concentrate. That's proven. That 100% is proven. Yeah. So someone asks, why is it so much easier to do that than to sit and learn? Well, that's one reason. That's one reason. The second, another reason is you sit there, you just vegetate. Got your couch potato, right next to you. You sit there and veg out. Some people say, I just need to veg out, whatever. But it has an effect. It makes your brain atrophy. It makes you not want to learn. Right? Learning's hard enough. Getting concepts down, understanding, it's hard enough. But when you're fighting against the elements of the street, what's more fun? What would be more fun? Trying to break your head on something, in Torah, or play video games or watch a movie. What would be more fun? Torah learning, obviously. That would be obvious. Yeah. But these other things, you don't have to do anything. Just sit there and watch. You just sit there and play. Of course it's entertaining. Who's going to say it's not entertaining? I grew up at the beginning of, all these things. At the beginning, Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, other things. Anyone knows what I'm talking about. Other things, Pac-Man, whatever. Video games were a huge thing. I mean, it's still pretty big today. Just different sophistications, different level altogether. But I'm saying even the very beginning, sure. Spend hours. And it makes it harder to learn. It makes it harder to concentrate. Why? Because you'd rather be doing that. You'd rather having your brain vegetate and have fun that way. What do you rather do? Like study biology and have to memorize all this stuff for a test? Or play video games? Easy, play video games. It's much easier. Much, much easier. But Torah is so hard. And even you tell me we're in such a weak generation, all that, ketchup and mustard and relish on my hot dog. Okay. But the elements have been made so easy to get to. Yeah. You're saying what's the big deal? It is a big deal. It's a huge deal. Because the more you're attached to that, the less you're going to be attached to Torah. That's the bottom line. It's going to be that much harder to learn. right? So therefore, why does my Rebbe say and scream out all the time against these things? Because they're destructive. They don't help a person learn, just the opposite. Causes them not to want to learn. So these cause stumbling blocks. I know somebody that, that can tell, if he's learning with somebody, he can tell if they watched the movie or not. Personally, I get it's very, very sensitive, very, 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 very bright, very, very bright. And this person can pick up if a person saw something or not, because how does he pick that up? I don't think it's necessarily so hard, right? How does he pick that up? Their mind wanders. In other words, you engage in conversation, they space out. Their mind wanders. Now, could be for a number of reasons. Could be other things going on in their life, whatever. True. Could be other things they have to deal with, and they're thinking about other things. But if a person has less of an attention span, if it's a younger person, then, most likely that's what they're doing. Because it takes away. Concentration, you got to be all in, you got to be focused. A person listening to a class, you space out, you miss it. I know for myself, I'll learn something, or I'll see something, or read a whole bunch of lines. My mind was elsewhere. I got to go back. Concentrate. What am I, what are the words saying? What are the repercussions? This, that. It happens. Doesn't mean you're just falling asleep and, and you're just tired. That could also be. Yeah. But I've seen it myself. You read something, all of a sudden you go through a whole paragraph and you remember what you just read. Why didn't you remember? You read each word. You saw each word. Why didn't you remember? Because your brain was elsewhere. So yeah, if you're not focused, learning, you need to be focused. And if not, your mind wanders, it's going to be much harder. That's why all these things, even if a person does it a little bit here, a little bit there, whatever the case may be, it's going to have a negative effect. It's going to affect how you learn, right? That's why these things can be so bad, not to mention the fact that they're addictive, right? That they're totally addicted. Somebody mentioned the Radio Shack computer. Yeah, remember that? Trash 80. Yeah, I had, didn't have very much memory. Someone asks, okay, let's go back to one of these questions here. What happens? Let's see the question. Someone who hates religion has a problem with words like Judaism or B'nai Noach. Yeah, you have a conversation with them, I guess don't bring it up. Yeah, I can tell you, when I was in the States, among most people that I was around, there are a number of things you can't talk about. God and religion. Which basically, if that's all you're into and that's what you do, well, what are you going to talk about? What do you end up talking about? You know what you end up talking about? Sports, entertainment, talk about my grandkids, talk about maybe what's going on in Israel, a little bit. What else do you talk about? Food? What else do you talk about? Nothing else to talk about. I mean, they'll say you can talk about anything in the world except that. Yeah. So I learned a long time ago, even though it's kind of painful, but you can't bring these subjects up. You can't bring it up. So what do and if you do bring it up, sometimes you're going to get your mouth slammed shut. Sometimes people are going to say things, right? So if they hate all this, I tell you can't bring it up. But you're going to say, but that's my life, and that's what I do. Okay. But if you bring that up, what's someone going to do? They'll scream at you. They'll tell you you're a fanatic. They'll tell you they hate religion, they hate God, they hate Jews. They hate all this. Okay, so don't bring it up. That's the only that's the only thing. If they bring it up, they have to say change the subject. Like, we're not going there. Yeah, if they themselves bring it up and they want to vent, you don't have to answer. We always say you only answer when you get a question. If they say I hate Jews and I hate Judaism and no hides, oh, it's a whole stupid thing and blah blah blah. You don't have to answer anything, right? What's the answer? You say, oh, or you say, okay. You can say, but is that offensive? Yeah, it is. It's offensive. Yeah, we should stick up for Judaism, slam them. Well, it doesn't always work. Sometimes, as the Torah says, there's an obligation to rebuke your fellow Jew. Even if they're not going to listen. This is a very complicated thing I mentioned a number of times. Very, very complicated. There are times you absolutely have to, even if no one's going to listen. A Jew, not a non-Jew. Yeah. So there are times you have to do that. And there are other times, depends on the case, right? But there are other times, you don't have to. Not every time you have to. Even if they're going to hate Judaism more, and someone, and they're going to say all kinds of negative things, that's not my problem. That's not putting a stumbling block in front of anyone. Well, that means that they have issues. So they say, you're anti-pig. Okay. You're anti-non-Jews. Okay. You're anti-this, you're anti-that. Fine. The Torah's against it. Okay. I don't have to answer. I can just say okay or oh or whatever. Or we try and change the subject. But if they keep hammering you, what do? You got to go one ear, not the other. But sometimes you might have to say, oh, really? This is really what you think? This is really what you believe? Oh, this is really stupid? Well, you must have done a lot of research. Tell me that the Torah is stupid. You probably learned philosophy. Socrates, Aristotle, no. Have you ever studied later philosophy? Kant, Kierkegaard? No. You ever studied Lahavdil, Jewish philosophy? Yeah, the Rambam, Yehuda Halevi, who wrote the Kuzari? No. Did you ever read the Bible from cover to cover? No, but I saw the movie. So shut your mouth, you're an idiot. You don't know anything. You're going to say, oh, I think Judaism's stupid. Oh, very good. You think it's stupid, and you hate it, whatever. So, wow, do you know anything about Judaism? You ever learn about it? You ever see documentaries about it and what it really means? You can get very animated here. Yeah, a lot of times you're not even going to do it because it's a waste of time. Yeah, it's a waste of time. Yeah. Sometimes, though, I think it's a good thing to say. It might not get anywhere. They might get more aggravated, but I think it's a good thing to say. Why? Because, it jars them a little bit. So, really, you've been studying. You've come to this conclusion with, years of research. These people want to do whatever they want to do. They don't care. That's what they want to do. They're going to go according to desires. They're going to say, you can't tell me otherwise. I'm going to do whatever I want. Okay. I don't have to answer that. Sometimes I think, yeah, you should rebuke them. And say, yeah, guess what? It's wrong. Right? Or someone said to me, oh, you think these people are living in sin? I said, yeah. There's nothing to talk about. They're living in sin. Yeah, that was my rebuke. They're living in sin. Yeah, then they start to make fun. Okay. I believe in the Torah. This is what the Torah says. Can't do it. You don't believe it? You want to learn about it? Oh, no. They just, move on. So I would say don't bring up the topic. You just don't bring up the topic. If they hammer you, you try and change the topic. There's nothing to do. It's a bad situation. I have someone, number of people I can talk to, they'll just hammer me. And a number of times I showed respect. And I said, well, obviously you must mean about this, or you must know about that, or about the other thing. They have no clue. I had someone hammer me about what's going on with these protests and, and the whole thing with, anti-government protests and different things. And so I asked them, very simple. I said, you know what goes on here? Do you have any idea what the Supreme Court here does? This is done in America. They would have thrown the Supreme Court out. Imagine Congress in America makes a law, any law, and Congress and the Supreme Court says, nope, we don't like it. They knock it down. They stick their nose in where it doesn't belong. Everyone agrees it's bad. Everyone knows it has to be changed. They just think we're going to change it in a major way. Because, you get religious people in the government. That's what they're afraid of. Okay. So they're going on and on about this. I said, well, do you know what goes on here? I said, are you aware what goes on here? And I mentioned a few things what I just mentioned. Where did it go? It went right over their head. They said, doesn't matter. I hate the religious. They're right-wing fanatics. They're this. They didn't hear a word I said. Okay. That was that. So I just made one comment. I said, you want to trash a whole group of people, including me, you should really know something about what you're trashing them about. I don't care what it says in your heart. Doesn't matter what's in your heart. You're trashing them for no reason because you don't like them. And you're biased against, do you know the topic? Do you have any idea what's going on? And what they're doing and what they're really fighting against? Do you have any idea the whole thing? So I did a very nice way. Even though I got hammered afterwards. But that's the answer. The answer is, oh, you must be aware of this, or you must be aware of that, or you must be aware of something else. Trying to get them to understand they don't know what they're talking about at all. But they have very strong opinions. That's what my heart tells me, based on. That's what my heart tells me. Can't argue with that. Right? About intermarriage. Right? This is about intermarriage. And I said, is intermarriage right or not according to the Bible? They said it's wrong. But my grandkid intermarried, I would never say a thing to his wife, blah, blah. Oh, that's your choice. You make a choice. You're going to turn the Torah into a pretzel. Okay. And there's nothing wrong, they agree it's wrong. But they're not going to say anything because they're going to look like a bigot. Right? They're going to look like they're biased. They're totally biased over here, even though they don't really keep that much. So they can't say anything. They look like a hypocrite. That I understand. But I would never break up families. I said, it's wrong. You got to say it's wrong. And they said, I agree it's wrong. But they'll never say that. What happens if they say that to their grandkid? Finished. Grandkid don't have nothing to do with them. They have nothing to do with them. I get it. But I would never do this. And that's too fanatical. I don't know. The Torah says many times. Many times you're not allowed to intermarry. So I made a point. I said, in Europe way back, they used to sit shiva. They used to mourn when someone intermarried for 2 weeks. I know exactly where the custom came from. For 2 weeks, they would sit in mourning if they had a child that intermarried. Got to America, it already became a mitzvah to intermarry. Yeah, I said, but you're aware of that, right? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You're still fanatics. I've never done it, blah, blah, blah. That's what my heart tells me. Okay? Is there anything to argue with? No. Nothing to argue with. They're very strong in their opinion. Very good. They don't know anything. So I showed a little bit of respect. I'm going to show respect. But this whole thing with what's going on, against the government, and all that, and they're going, I hate the right in Israel. I hate the right in America. Religious Jews are ruin everything. It's all the religions. It's all our fault, blah, blah, blah. So I said, well, do you have any idea what's going on? The left agrees with us that things have to change. They agree. It's just a question how far the change goes and what they're going to do and all that. And they have a clue. Not one stinking clue. All right, sit there and listen. Come on. Sit there and listen to this garbage. So I made a point. They were very quiet. They were very quiet. I made my point. I said, fine, you don't have to like it. You come out against it. Learn what the issue is. Learn what's going on before you speak. That's pretty much what I said in a very nice way. Did it help? No, probably not. But I like people to know, you want to give an opinion. Very good. Yeah. Tell me what it's based on. Tell me you've done research. Tell me you've looked into the issue and we'll talk. We'll have a discussion. You want to tell me that's what you believe because you read a couple of articles, you saw a video on it, you saw this, that. I mean, you know what, there are people, very pro-Palestinian, this and that. There's no such thing as a Palestinian people. One of the 3 biggest lies in the world. Christianity being one of them, evolution the second one, that's probably up there, number 3. Or number 2, it depends. Biggest lie in the world, everyone's perpetuating. A joke. Total joke. Yeah. And it's apartheid and it's this and it's that. Yeah. You know anything about Israeli history? You know what's happened the last 150 years, 200 years, more? What's going on in this country? How many, quote unquote Palestinians where? Nobody. A lot of nomads, some Syrians here, you had some Lebanese here, Egyptians here. You never had a whole group had their own thing. Never. They're rewriting history. It's ironic, perpetuating the same lie. But there's no such thing. Mark Twain, Samuel Langhorne Clemens, right? Wrote Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer. Anyone doesn't know? Yeah, it came in the late 1890s. 1890s it came. What do you see here? Nothing. Place was flattened like a pancake. There's nothing here. Nothing. Where are the Palestinians? Where are they hiding? Where are they hiding? They weren't there. They didn't exist. Oh, that's bad. You stole our land. Where did we steal it? Where is it? Where did we steal it? Where were you? Yeah. So yeah, I would say they hate all this stuff. Simple answer is don't speak about it. If they bring it up, just say, change the subject. Try and change the subject. Try and get out of the conversation if possible. Right? I know there's certain people, if I mention certain people's names, they're going to trash them. 100% they're going to trash them. Nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about. Yeah? I don't bring them up. I don't bring them up. If someone brings up their name, I'm going to change the subject very quickly. Very quickly. Because I know certain people are going to trash this person. Right? Yeah, this great rabbi, let's say. I'm going to trash him for different things. Yeah, so I won't let that conversation come up. At all. Why tribe of Benjamin so special to be based on Mikdash? Tribe of Benjamin. Yeah. So one thing, is that if you look at Genesis chapter 49, verse 27, so we're known for their courage, which, gave them their blessing from Jacob, even though the smallest of tribes, right? But certainly during King Saul, they played a, tremendous role. No question. Many leaders came from them, right? First king came from them as well. So that could be a number of reasons. Why, or potential reasons why. What else here? When you say brachas in Hebrew, is it Lashon HaKodesh? Oh, is it considered Lashon HaKodesh? Yeah, Lashon HaKodesh is something very specific. Yeah, something very, something very specific. Lashon HaKodesh, we mean literally the holy tongue, right? That is what it is. That's what it's called. We say God created the world. God said, let there be lights. There was light. There are 10 things that God said, and the world was created, so to speak. It says in Pirke Avos chapter 5, Mishna 1. The Rambam learned, the Guide for the Perplexed, that why is Hebrew language holy? It doesn't actually mention any private body parts in Acts. That's interesting. Also, the Ramban sort of takes issue here, says that doesn't necessarily mean it's holy because it omits certain vulgar words, so to speak, that really, these things are holy also. They're holy also, even if they're said in Hebrew, right? It's not necessarily, sexuality it's holy if you choose for the right, choose in the right way. So the Ramban holds that it's inherently holy, the language, because that's the language God communicated in 10 Commandments, etc. the language and name of God and his angels, as brought down in his commentary on Exodus chapter 30, verse 13. That's what the Ramban here says. But yeah, so the Lashon HaKodesh, the Hebrew language used for blessings, yes. Yeah, definitely would say it is. Could Jordanians be related to Gad or Reuven? I have no idea. I have no idea. The Elijah the prophet is going to come and sort out who everybody is and what tribes they are from. So today, the question is, because the portion of the land of Israel in our days, Jordan. I don't know. I don't know if there's a connection. Could be. Could be in theory. Could be in theory just because they're in proximity. I don't know. But we don't know who anybody is. We have no idea. No idea who anybody is. Who are the Chashmonaim? They were the Hasmoneans that fought against the Greeks, right? The Maccabees. They were known as the Chashmonaim. They were the Maccabees that fought against the Greeks at the time of the second temple. Someone asked, all my friends 30 years old hours playing video games. Yeah. I can't say it's I can't say it's sad. That's all I can say is people have nothing better to. I mean, video games today are much, I would say much more fun than they used to be. Especially we got interactive games and all kinds of things that are like, they look really real, in so many ways. So, I get it. I get it. I just think like at a certain age, no matter how sophisticated and how fun, different things, I would think, and again, this is probably just my assumption. What happens when you assume things, and that is, you make a mistake. You make a mistake and you think that, people get older, you find better things to do. But if you have nothing in your life, so yeah, you play video games. You're going to say it's fun, it's interactive, it's this and that. They're right. You'll be looking at the weird one who wants to, watch videos on Torah and that. Okay. Yeah. So that's not a bad thing. I don't think that's definitely a bad thing. At all. I mean, a lot of these games are also extremely violent. If you tell me they weren't violent and this and that, it's still bad. But a lot of things are, certainly a lot of immoral things. Certainly, violence wise. I don't think there's any question. Someone asked, how did God speak with Moshe Rabbeinu? Don't know. We don't know what it was. We don't know what type of speech it was. Right? That says that God spoke. Right, we do understand it's like a person spoke to their friend, but we don't understand what. Right, I don't know. Kabbalists have their own way of looking at it, I guess, but we don't understand for ourselves what it is, what it means that God spoke. Right, can't give an answer on that. Someone is all into Kabbalah, but when you bring up Torah, they say there's more. Well, what Kabbalah is really a commentary on Torah. It's like a medrash. Yeah, I mean. Steeper than a medrash, depending on how you take it and how you learn it. Yeah, but essentially it's a medrash. It's commentary. It's a commentary on the Torah. But if you bring up Torah references, they say there's more. You're right. There is a lot more. But again, what the Torah says, how it's explained, there are multiple levels. Multiple levels. Yeah. So if you look at it like an explanation, like a medrash, okay, that's what the Torah is. Sorry, that's what Kabbalah is. I mean, obviously it's much deeper and, etc. Does it take away, fundamental meaning taken away from the truth? If they're negating what the Torah says and just say, well, Kabbalah says this and whatever, yeah, obviously it's based on Torah. There's no question. But keep in mind one thing. Keep in mind that let's say there'd be a difference of opinion between how the rabbis hold the Gemara and Kabbalah. How do we go? How do we paskin? According to Jewish law, not like Kabbalah. Right? There are certain things we do like Kabbalah today. Yeah. Friday nights, before you make the blessing over bread, you cut a little bit of the bottom challah. Why? Brought down because it's Kabbalah. Okay. There are certain things we do according to Kabbalah. Very good. But I'm saying if there's a difference of opinion in Jewish law between what the rabbis say and what Kabbalah says, you don't go according to Kabbalah normally. There are certain cases you do, but in general, you don't. Are there people living their lives totally according to Kabbalah? Yeah. But these are people well versed in Kabbalah and well versed in Torah. So, yeah, there are plenty of deep things in Torah without Kabbalah. Does it confuse a lot of people? Sure. 100%. Yeah, I've been learning, listening to something recently on Hasidus, and, it boggles my mind. I'm not saying people can't learn it. There's so many things, so many deep things. Can't believe too many people understand it. Totally understand it. So yeah, can it take away from Torah? Sure. It depends how it's used. But there are people who use Kabbalah for all kinds of things that are, antithetical to Torah. It's okay to buy cosmetics which are tested on animals who are suffering. Yeah. Even if they were suffering, doesn't mean the cosmetics are forbidden. We're not allowed to make animals suffer. That's true. Right? Now, if someone did, let's say animals suffer in a way that, they're trying certain, certain medicine on them, to see how it affects them so they can use it for humans. Yeah. Are they allowed to do that? They're allowed to do it. And, you're there for the animal suffering, but why is the animal suffering? We're allowed to use animals, for our benefit, as long as we don't abuse them. That's not called abuse. Why is it called abuse? Because you're looking for a cure. All right. You want to use this medicine, try and cure, let's say, cancer, certain things in cancer, whatever. Can I try them on rats? Yeah. I see how it affects them. Oh, that's cruel. You got any better ideas? You want to put it out in the market. Yeah. How's the FDA going to approve it? How are they going to approve it? So without even getting into all the politics of all that, you can test it on animals. That's not a problem. So even if cosmetics were tested on animals or used on animals, the animals suffer. That's not our problem. We can use animals for that. Totally can use animals for that. I mean, you don't want them to suffer as much, but it doesn't matter. The fact, even if they suffered, I can benefit from that. That's true. Someone asked, really scary, disconnected people are, say things in the name of God, faith, blah, 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 and they're delusional. Okay. Yeah. Are we such a broken world that we can't move forward out of the victim mentality? Interesting question. I'm not going to speak about the Holocaust. Holocaust very, still very hard to fathom what happened. What exactly happened and how most of world Jewry in Europe got wiped out, totally wiped out. Right? There are things we can understand. 80% is, intermarriage rate in Germany. We understand people were saying, why go, we're living in Berlin. Why don't you put in the prayer book, we're going to go back to Jerusalem. We're going to go back to Israel. That's going to offend people. Could that tick God off? Oh, yes, it could. Is that the reason the Holocaust happened? Not saying that is. Could be 100 different reasons. 100 different reasons. Could be 1,000 different reasons. What do we understand? What do we understand? It was a decree. It was a divine decree. A really bad divine decree. Now, the answer here is, it's not about us being victims. We were victims. There's no way to fight against it. Right? Okay, you say the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, this and that, but they weren't organized. Things happened so fast they couldn't. Then they got, the borders got sealed. They don't like they had a standing army, and they got starved to death and all kinds of things. So, the problem is nobody wants to take responsibility for their actions. So I'm not going to say what the reason was, what happened. We don't know. In any pogroms, we don't know. Could be this, could be that, could be a million different things. We don't know. I would say the bottom line is We gotta, pull up our pants, so to speak, pull up our bootstraps and take responsibility for our actions. Something like that in such a horrific way is such a nasty decree. It's not what God wanted. But he carried it out because of whatever reason. Whatever reason. I mean, what happened during the second temple destruction. Crazy. 4 million people, 40 million, 400 million people killed. Could be just an exaggeration, but a lot of people killed, butchered. Why did the temple get destroyed? So Talmud says, Sinas Chinam, unlawful hatred. I mean, it's a lot of people that die in a very horrific way. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we have to learn to take responsibility, for action. Secular Jews do what they do. Okay, they're going to get punished, yeah? God's not necessarily looking at them. He's looking at us. That we have the responsibility. So it's going to have to be what we do. And our actions are going to matter. Their actions, okay. They're doing terrible things. They grew up as a potato farmer in Idaho. No offense, anyone's a potato farmer, grew up in Idaho. Grew up knowing nothing. But yeah, they're also going to get punished for severe things they do. Nothing to talk about. Right? Absolutely nothing to talk about. At the same time, they don't get a free pass. But where is the onus? The onus is not on them. The onus is on us. So if we're not doing what we're supposed to do, the repercussions could be unbelievably severe. Unbelievably severe. Right? How do people, I see, sometimes I'll see bumper stickers that say, God, we believe in you. And then you look at who's in the car. And you're like, really? They don't look so religious, per se. They had a lot of faith. So what about mitzvahs? What about the way you dress? What about other things? I don't think it's a question of people being delusional. I don't think that's the issue. I think people just want to do what they want to do. You're right, I call it delusional, but, in a certain sense, they just want to do what they want to do. And they're going to say, well, we got a problem, we're going to be like everybody else. And God says, if you're like everyone else, you're in trouble. They're going to hate you more. Right? I think the issue is, we don't want to take responsibility for our actions. We're going to be given a free pass. We don't have to work so hard. I think that's the issue. Because there are a lot of different levels there. You say, well, I keep Shabbos. I keep kosher, I do other things. It's interesting. My Rebbe asked the question, why is it on Yom Kippur? Why is it on Yom Kippur here in Israel, you won't see anybody driving? You won't see anybody driving in general. Right? The whole place, people are in synagogue. Even by secular Jews. I'm saying everybody, but he said, but by Shabbos, you see desecration all the time. What's the difference between Shabbos and Yom Kippur? So everyone wants to say, by Yom Kippur, we keep it right. So if we keep it right, it even has an influence on secular Jews. By Shabbos, if we don't keep it right or we don't have the right mentality, it doesn't have an effect. It has a negative effect. Doesn't mean we don't have to keep it, but it has a negative effect. So people desecrate Shabbos. Depends what, again, it all has to do with what we do. So our mentality has to change. We have to be better. We have to learn stronger. We have to understand what we're doing. Not about secular Jews. What they're doing, yeah, that's a different issue. Should we be out there more protesting, saying what they're doing is wrong, rebuking them? Could very well be. Won't deny that. That probably is the case. But at the same time, we have to protest from within, to scream out and say how bad it is and want to be better. But it's about us. The focus is on us, on what we need to do better, not what they're doing. What they're doing, God will take care of them and whatever, but it's what we do. So we can't just say, well, we're supposed to, some mentality is got to be like everyone else. You didn't want to be religious, that's fine. Don't show it, don't wear it. Don't wear it. Someone told me once, they're at a hockey game. Yeah. So there's an Orthodox Jew, a visibly Orthodox Jew there. Anytime something happens, this guy's like standing up, jumping, yelling, screaming, this and that, obviously blocking people's views. This guy doesn't look like an Orthodox Jew. Is like, it's great, you're cheering and whatever, but you're blocking people's view. Isn't that obvious? You're at a hockey game or any game, They're jumping up so people can't see. I think that'd be obvious. So that looks really bad. Forget he's at the game. I ain't gonna talk about that. But a visible Orthodox Jew, that's a desecration of God's name. Total desecration of God's name. He's held more accountable. Thank you, what you did that. Okay, it's also bad, but it's not the same. They don't know any better anyway, so they'll do what they want. Because I got overexcited. People don't care. They don't distinguish between Orthodox, not whatever. But if you're visibly an Orthodox Jew and you're doing things like that, and you're in public like that, it's a problem. It's definitely a problem. Whatever we do, it's not about secular Jews. It's about what we do. Totally what we do. Somebody asks, "Is it okay if I don't feel any pity?" No. If you don't feel any pity for the Palestinians, you shouldn't. Should absolutely feel no pity for them at all. Yeah. The fact that, there's some people controlling them, seriously controlling them, and have a lot of power, okay, but, we should feel pity for them? Not at all, not a problem. Why do Jordanians wasn't Binyamin wiped out? Yes, they were wiped out almost because of the concubine in Giva, right? That got totally killed and cut up and all that. Yeah, that's true. That that is true. They were almost wiped out. So the question was, though, why were they significant? They were significant before that, even though they were a small tribe. That happened afterwards. Why did Jordanians call themselves Hashmoneans, the Hashemite kingdom? I don't know. The Hashmonaim are what we call, the Maccabees. Yeah, I'm not sure what why they call themselves why they call themselves why they call themselves that. I don't know, it's probably something significant why they do. There's a difference though. They're calling themselves the Hashmoites. Yeah, the Maccabees were called the Hashmonaim, totally different. Definitely not the same. One is the Hashemite, one is the Hashmonaim. So that's totally different. What is the true border of Israel? It's expanded, right? Syria, I think, is part of that. It was part of Greater Israel. Jordan, what do you call it? Iraq, part of ancient Israel as well. So, eventually when the Messiah comes, those parts are going to be part of Israel as well. It's okay to play crosswords with Torah. Yeah, I don't see why not. That should be all right. It's a version of Kabbalah that movie stars and singers like Madonna practice witchcraft. I don't know. I don't know if it's anything. They claim to be learning Kabbalah, but I don't know. I don't know if it's practical Kabbalah or not. When I call it witchcraft, Kabbalah is not witchcraft. I mean, it's using certain names of God for who knows what. That's not witchcraft. I mean, if a person knows what they're doing, they're on a high enough level, they can do it. It's forbidden against the Torah and goes against right, which is totally which is totally forbidden. That would be
Do we need to get out and come
Sorry
back
about that.
on?
Yeah,
Oh.
sorry about that. I just got knocked off here. I'm not exactly sure why. That being the case, I would say that that would be the issue. In other words, if it's witchcraft, if it would be 100% witchcraft, then that would be a problem. If not, if it's not witchcraft and Kabbalah is used for the right thing, let's say, right? If Kabbalah be used for the right thing, then it's not witchcraft, right? What are they using it for? Can't say. I can't say. Do I believe beyond the shadow of a doubt they're using, it's real witchcraft? I wouldn't say that. I definitely wouldn't say that. I wouldn't think it's real Kabbalah either. I'd be very leery to say that it would be, that it would be considered, it would be considered Kabbalah. Someone asks, says in Ksubah 17a, Talmud here says, person's mind should be involved with helping others. Yeah. What does it mean to live for others? To help them, right? To help them in the best way possible. Yeah. So a person should always be doing chesed, acts of loving kindness, trying to help others. You have to learn Torah as well, but that's what it means. Right. In other words, you should always constantly be involved. I'll tell you, Rav Eli Opia, in a blessed memory, said that if a person wants to be guaranteed long life, they should work with the community, work with the Jewish community, right, and help them in different ways. Why? Because even if you be liable, let's say, be liable for death penalty, right? Even if you be liable for a death penalty, or God was going to take you for whatever reason, the fact that other people need you, and you're helping the community, so God is going to wave away, so to speak. He's going to wave away this decree because other people need you. You're indispensable. Once you're not indispensable anymore, then okay, then God can take you. So therefore, if you're helping other people and you're helping, the Jewish community in whatever way, so that's a huge thing that what do you call it? That God will, have mercy even if you're liable for a death penalty. Again, why is that? Why is that? Very simple, because again, you're helping others. You're definitely helping others, so that can help you guarantee, that can help guarantee long life. Yeah. Any other questions? I'm going to stop here. I do this every Saturday, 2:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Israel time. Anyone has any questions, find me on Facebook at Chaim Kaufman, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, or orthodoxconversion.com, on YouTube, Beyond Orthodox Conversion Judaism, videos there on Pirke Avos, Ethics for Our Fathers, Q&As, Torah portion of the week, controversial issues. Sunday, Book of Leviticus chapter 16 will be 9 o'clock Eastern time, 4 o'clock Israel time, and starting for Noahide Nations, 2:30 Eastern time, 9:30 Israel time. On Sunday will be Duties of the Heart. I'm going to start that from the beginning for Noahides. Anyway, I'm going to stop here. Anyone has any questions, again, you can send me an email, rabbichaimkaufman@gmail.com, RBBICHAIMCOFFMAN@gmail.com, which I'm good. Beginning of the day.